Help me welcome actor, writer, stand-up comedian, best known for Jin Yang on Silicon Valley, Jimmy O. Yang.
Wow. Look at this. The whole office is here. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Hello.
Hello, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I heard you had some mediocre ramen in San Francisco?
Slurp ramen, not to talk bad about them, but it was like passable at best.
Like, what is passable ramen?
Just kind of bland. And you know, when you eat something so heavy, it's like, I'm not eating healthy anyways. Like, it's like when your cheat meal sucks, it's a horrible feeling.
Well, I know.
Not that I ever go on a diet anyway, so, you know.
I don't think you could. I need to go on a diet.
I got
Maybe I should eat some cheat meals here.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's hit Silicon Valley first, because I think that's where most of us had come attention to you with playing Jin Yang.
Yeah.
The season 5 premiered on Sunday.
Yes.
And I think Vanity Fair had the headline that you were ready to be the next main asshole on Silicon Valley.
That is true.
How is that possible?
No more supporting asshole.
No more
That's
supporting
my friend
asshole.
said. Just main asshole. Yeah, I think with TJ leaving, I was like super sad and kind of, worried like where the character's gonna go. But it turned out to be like a blessing in disguise, I think. And it kind of allowed my character to kind of mess with other people now, which is great.
Well, the other thing, you guys had like a really kind of like fun comedy duo, like Laura Hardy or like Christopher Farley and like David Spade. But I also wonder like how that will exist with you having more time to be more of an asshole.
Yeah.
But at the same time, are we going to see more things like the seafood app and stuff like that too?
We'll see. I think there's some good interactions, and hopefully we'll find some new dynamics coming up. I'm not promising anything, but there's going to be a lovemaking scene between me and Gavin Belson. So we'll see. We'll see where that takes us.
How long did that take to film?
A few days.
A few days.
We rehearsed beforehand.
Did you guys had a lot of like wide angle lenses and
yeah,
stuff?
a lot. It was a lot. Yeah.
So I saw it on your Twitter feed. So on Sunday's show, they had a company called Slice Line that delivers pizza. I saw that you actually had a pizza delivered by a drone on Slice.
A drone flew into my not house, but like my apartment, and delivered a pizza right to the doorstep.
Was it warm?
It was pretty good, but sadly, since I'm in Hollywood now, I have allergies. So I'm actually allergic to citric acid, and like I'm kind of lactose intolerant, like most Asian people.
But like citric acid's in like everything.
Yeah, tomatoes.
Yeah.
Can't eat it. I mean, I'm not gonna die. It's just I get like real mucusy and gross.
I say I rubbed myself with like citrus acid.
Really?
Came out
You just drizzle yourself with lime juice?
It's like a lotion. So if you get a little like swollen there, let me know. But so going back to Mike Judge a little bit. Mike Judge, excuse me. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest.
Okay. Yeah,
but so Mike Judge, okay, he created Silicon Valley, Beavis and Butthead, the
Office
Space. Thank you.
Idiocracy, which is very relevant now, sadly.
Well, like, so I know he was at your graduation when you went to college, but then how did you guys come back around for Silicon Valley?
So he was my commencement speaker, just out of dumb luck, right? And he was talking about how he was a physics major working in Silicon Valley back in the 80s and how he hated the corporate culture, right? So he muttered around as like a traveling musician, and then eventually he found his passion in comedy and animation. And I was just sitting in the audience, probably hungover, and listening to this because I was an economics major, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just knew I didn't want to have anything to do with economics. So, I think that speech kind of really spoke to me, man. It kind of, gave me, I was like, dude, I should go try to find what I'm really into. And I tried a bunch of different things. I tried like jujitsu, boxing classes. Like, I don't know why, but I did, And eventually I found stand-up comedy, and I kind of felt that passion that he was talking about. And then, just out of luck, 5 years later, I auditioned for Silicon Valley. He didn't know I was sitting in the audience, but I knew who he was. And I got the job. And the first day at table read, I came up to him like, hey, Mike, man, that was awesome. You were my commencement speaker. And Mike, I don't know if you guys ever hear him speak. He's very like kind of quiet. Oh, yeah, really? Oh, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. And I'm like, yeah, man. And so you went to UCSD? I was like, okay, yeah, that's nice. How's UCSD now? Did you like it? I was like, no, I fucking hated it. Like, I just told him, I was so nervous. Like, I just fucking hated it. But he was like, oh yeah, that's good. Me too. It was kind of boring when I went there. And I've been working with him since for 5 years, and he's like one of my best friends on the show now. It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. I mean, what does he think of, like, because you've had a lot of things change over the course of time. You've been on Silicon Valley and your personal life and professionally. I mean, is he a supporter of that, or is he just, you're well deserved?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's always, I think, so season 1, I started with literally just like 2 lines, right? Like when I opened the door, like, this is Pied Piper. And then they wrote me another episode and like, I eat the fish. So it ended up like I was in 3 episodes in the first season as a guest star, basically. And I had like maybe five words total. And then in between season 1 and season 2, like Mike was the first to tell me, he's like, yo, we're gonna be excited to have you back, but I still don't know where the show's gonna go and stuff like that. But yeah, he was like the first to reach out, and then eventually, I became a series regular on it because out of circumstance that I talk about in the book. Like I was offered like another job at Yahoo, but in the TV world, it's like exclusive. You can only either work with Yahoo or HBO, and then HBO was kind enough, or they supported him enough to match the offer, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, because you at the time, in the first season, you were living like with 2 other guys in like
no introduction of who I was. I just kind of showed up in the house. People on Reddit was like, "Oh, who's that intern guy or whatever?" I was never really an intern. I was just like a dweller in this place. And yeah, but I kind of like that. And then eventually they kind of explain it, but it's still kind of like mysterious how he ended up there.
Well, let me ask you this: like, okay, as an actor playing him, the reaction. I mean, like, who is this guy? Like,
Right.
Why do you think there's been such an attraction from the audience to this character, wanting to see more of him, whether he's an asshole or more of him, like being a foil to T.J. Miller's character?
I think TJ's character really brought this character out because he was always bullying everyone, being obnoxious. And this little guy, this foreign, weird little guy, is the only guy that has his number, that can throw him under the bus and, like, be a pain in the ass for him. So I think people wanted to see that. It's like a David versus Goliath. But at the end of the day, like, you can see it's like Laura and Hardy. There's some kind of love between the two, And yeah, I think me and him just in person, like our sense of humor, like are very close to each other. So it kind of just worked. It just clicked like immediately.
Do you guys, I mean, I'm not looking for a specific thing, but since you guys have such a chemistry, do you ever think there might be a chance for like a movie or a series with the two of you after Silicon
Maybe.
Valley?
I would love to. We talked about writing together like a Chinese action comedy or something like that. Wouldn't that be awesome? We've been throwing that around.
Yes.
So I talk to him every now and then, and he called me like the night. He was like, "Man, it was at midnight." He was like, "You're the first person I called, but I'm not coming back next season." I'm like, "Oh, dude, that's super sad." And I try to talk him out of it, but obviously, his mind's made up. It's TJ, and he was like, "Yeah, but you know what? Don't be sad, dude. Like, this is maybe the end of Ehrlich and like Jing Yang, but maybe not the end of TJ and Jimmy." So I think we could definitely explore more TV shows, films, and stuff like that with us too.
Okay, so something I did not know, and I watched it last night, was you were in the movie Patriots Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness, you're so good at it.
Have you guys seen it? Nobody's seen it.
Does anyone know? Okay, first of all, you guys should see this movie.
Nobody
I don't
has.
know why I had not seen this movie before. It is actually an excellent movie, but it's about the bombings in the Boston Marathon in 2013?
2013.
Yeah, and you play the character of Danny. So these are all based off real people. So again, knowing that you have a stand-up background and you're in Silicon Valley, you've done some other shows like Always Sunny. How do you end up in a Mark Wahlberg movie about the Boston bombings?
Yeah, it was just auditioning. I think it was one of those roles. The guy's a Chinese immigrant himself, so they literally brought every Chinese person in Hollywood to audition for this role. And I'm pretty good at being a Chinese immigrant, I guess, and I was one, so I think I can relate to it, right? Like, I came here when I was 13, so I understand the mannerism, the accent, the thought process, and all that. And it was great. It was nerve-wracking for sure. Pete Berg, who's a pretty cool director, and then you got like Mark Wahlberg, John Goodman, J.K. Simmons, like Michelle Monaghan, like everybody I looked up to in this movie. And here I am, across Mark Wahlberg trying to do this scene. But everybody was like really cool, and then I think when the camera starts rolling, especially the way that Pete directs, like you just you're acting, you're this character now. And the real guy, Danny, who eventually basically became a hero in this Boston Marathon bombing thing, I get to talk to him and like be friends with him. Like I bugged him every other day in Boston, and it was a tough role to take on. I think, especially for somebody come from a comedy background. But I think it turned out to be one of the most rewarding experiences that nobody watched.
Well, no, they should. We're gonna get them to watch it.
Yeah, watch it, people. It's like $3.99 on iTunes.
It's not though. It's not.
It's not?
It's on Showtime.
It's on Showtime.
Showtime.
Who's got Show? This guy. Use their passwords.
I think we own
okay?
Showtime.
Just, share your passwords.
CBS owns Showtime. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we should be able to share your password. But there's actually one scene I wanted to bring up. That was the scene of the car with the guy's car jacket, and that's. I mean, I'm not even thinking like, oh, this guy's an actor at this point, or the other act. I'm just totally into the story. But how was it to film that scene? It's so intense because you're getting the car jacked and then kind of being held captive.
So the real story is Danny got held at gunpoint and carjacked by the two terrorists, the Tsarnaev brothers, in the Boston Marathon bombing, and they drove him around for an hour and a half with pressure cooker bombs in the back, and the GPS, they were trying to go to Manhattan to Times Square and bomb Times Square. Like, this is the part of the story a lot of people don't know. And then Danny, when they pulled him at a gas station, he like ran off at gunpoint and called the cops at the other gas station, and that led to their eventual shootout and arrest of those two guys in Watertown. So Danny was like a real hero. It was amazing. Like, I didn't really know about the story, and then I researched. There's like real footage, surveillance footage of him running across the gas station out of the car. It's like chilling, and like him making a 911 call inside the other gas station. So those footage definitely helped me, like mold and see the scene. And yeah, we play everything really real because it's Pete Berg, just like handheld cameras, and it was kind of surreal. Like I was like honestly like scared. There was like dudes with guns like in my head, right? And I think like I had like some PTSD, like some nightmare for a couple of nights. So I can only imagine what like Danny went through.
Yeah.
But throughout the movie, Mark and Pete was like, this is not about us as actors. It's about the victims and the heroes. So with that in mind, I think it became like a more fulfilling and easier process for us to go through.
Yeah, and now you're talking about auditioning that you basically brought every like Chinese immigrant actor in.
That happens a lot.
And that's a good segue to the book here, which this book, look at this. Try to learn this here. How to American, an immigrant's guide to disappointing your parents. It's a great time for a book. This book is hysterical. I was laughing my ass off reading it, which looked probably crazy in like a coffee shop. Why is a guy like laughing at himself? But then on top of it, like the story behind here, like there's also all these poignant moments.
Oh,
I mean, it's your life, but
right.
But good job living your life, sir.
Yeah. I'll live my life hysterically.
Well, yeah, at least for good ramen, right? But specifically, your dad and mom are just such great characters, and your mom reminds me of my mom. But your dad is so loving, but also so critical about everything you do.
Absolutely.
That being said, have they read the book?
My dad has read the book. He doesn't. So he's like, oh wow, this is actually a really good book. Did you actually write it? I'm like, yeah, man, I wrote it. So he's still kind of not giving it up,
Like all throughout the book, they'll be like, he takes his parents to like a very cool like stand-up he's doing in Vegas.
And my dad's like, no, you're not funny,
Yeah.
Like it's just.
Your dad was in Patriots Day.
My dad played my dad in Patriots Day, and that's why he thinks that's a good movie. He's a comedian also, and he jokes and he's a ball buster. So he did read the book, and he wasn't upset about the parts that I thought he would be upset at, like that he never supported my comedy career and things like that. He was upset about the fact that he was like, how can you let people know that me and your mom's always arguing at the house, and you can't let people know that I had credit card debt. I'm like, that's just life.
Okay, so there's so many things in this book I cannot wait to talk about. Okay, first, the name, because Jimmy O Yang, I did not realize that it's kind of a custom that in Hong Kong or China, there's like an English surname.
Yeah, Jimmy. Or English, you mean first name?
First name.
Yeah. So Jimmy was just like a given name because Hong Kong was like a British colony. So you're born with a Chinese name. My Chinese name was Manxing, which means 10,000 success. It's a name to set me up for failure, as I would say. my English given name was Jimmy, right? There's not really an explanation for it. My parents gave it to me because apparently it just sounded good to them.
But your dad
like my dad's name is Richard, and I'm like, Dad, why's your name Richard? He's like, oh, because I want to be rich. It's very, very simple, straightforward Asian man thinking. Like my mom's name is like Amy because like that's her Chinese name. Her Chinese nickname is like Ami, you know, in Shanghainese. And my brothers, they named my brother Roger after Roger Moore, their favorite James Bond. How Asian is that? Like, if James Bond is so Asian for some reason, like
especially Roger Moore.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very specific James Bond. I think he only did one. And then my brother hated that name. He was like, oh, that's like an old white guy name. So eventually, when he turned like 18, he changed his name to Roy, which is very ironic because that's an old black guy name. You know.
Now, in the book, you talk about as a child, you used to play ping pong, and you were really good at it.
I was pretty good, yeah.
In fact, your first time on TV was endorsing like a ping pong table or something?
Yeah, man. Like it can't get any more stereotypically Asian. I was a competitive ping pong player. I mean, come on. Yeah, I played like in those like youth tournaments, like under age 13, and like I was like really small, cute little kid. And yeah, there was a TV interview in the local news. Like they brought in like these adjustable height tables that the ping pong company was testing out, and I was like one of the testers. So I was like on TV playing it, and yeah, they loved me, and they brought me for like an in-studio interview like the next day, and like everybody in my family, and because Hong Kong is such a small place, it's like Manhattan by itself, and yeah, people thought I was like a superstar celebrity. But actually, I wasn't that good in ping pong. I just looked better than I actually was. So when I lost in a school tournament, it was really sad. Everybody just thought I was a fraud.
Are you at all any good now?
I'm decent. I actually went over to play my buddy's house, who has a ping pong table, and I lost pretty handily. So I still look like I can still toss the ball really high and like serve the whatever serves with some spin, but I'm not good at consistently hitting the ball anymore.
I'm not.
It's a lot of practice. So. And we can play after.
Play probably. Yeah. You can beat me and you'll feel better. Okay, but going back to growing up too. Now, as far as like where you ended up being a stand-up, that's not necessarily maybe you had an early idea of that when you were a young kid, right? So when does that really come into your being that like, hey, this is comedy.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
When I grew up in Hong Kong, I'd never seen any stand-up, and like even now, there's maybe one comedy club. It's not really a thing like historically in an art form in China or Hong Kong. And when I first came here, my first stand-up that I watched was BET Comic View. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like, it's really awesome. I was like watching BET not just to learn like the language, but to also like learn the cadence and also the culture, And the one good thing about stand-up comedy, it's not just jokes. It's really people telling us about culture and like what the stereotypes and in a funny way, what America's kind of about. So I really thought that was interesting. Like, I didn't even know there was like white people did that and black people did that. I didn't know people did different things, right? Like in Hong Kong, it's all just Chinese people anyways. So that was like really interesting to me to see like all the different, stereotypes and cultures and beliefs here. So that's, I guess, how I got into stand-up, or I got, interested in stand-up.
But then also, I think we think of there are lots of comedians who go into acting, but it kind of felt like as you were getting into stand-up and become more successful, that's when you also started going after acting jobs, right?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty natural progression in like LA. I just wanted to kind of get like a couple commercials because my buddy told me he was like almost like a security guard, like almost basically an extra in this like vodka commercial, and he made like 60 grand off like residuals. So like these commercial gigs could be like a lottery ticket, And that's all I wanted to do. I just want to do stand-up and then a commercial or two every year so I can sustain, living in LA. But then, one thing led to another. Like I went through like really crappy auditions. I think one of my favorite parts of the book is like the 101 auditions that I logged before I went on to the 102nd auditions, which was Silicon Valley. Oh, right here. You bookmarked it. My guy.
We've never met before. We've never met before.
That was magical. We've never met
before.
Yeah.
I know.
Is that a Jack of Hearts right there? That's wow.
Wow, you're good. And magician, we can add that to his. So yeah, I think one is I used to be an actor.
Oh, really?
I think it's funny that you kept track of all your auditions. You can hold
Yeah,
it.
and it's like all these roles are really like Taiwanese 20 looks like 12, computer geek. Loud Japanese host, Chinese restaurant owner, Walmart employee speaks Mandarin, young Asian guy, friend of Haley. Like all these it's very stereotypical roles, and they all like 2-line parts, and then eventually I booked a couple of these. The first one I booked was that Two Broke Girls thing. It was just like person in line. It's like 2 lines, and then eventually we I think Always Sunny is in here somewhere. But out of like the 101 auditions, I booked like maybe like 4 things. And whatever commercials that I did book, like I think I did like a Verizon one and even like an Apple one, they never aired, so I never got any money for it, So that $60,000 is not as easy as it seemed, right? And then the 102nd one was Silicon Valley.
Yeah, it's so cool to see that on the list. A couple that popped up for me too were Samsung journalist DJ, Samsung, a different Samsung, hip casual. Like, what is hip casual?
I guess hip casual.
It's like a clothing. T-Mobile band guy.
Yeah.
Verizon proud son.
Proud son. I got that job.
You got that's the one you got. Okay.
Isn't that ironic? Proud son.
Wait, you had Verizon hipster intern.
Oh yeah.
I did a Verizon commercial years ago. I was a male cheerleader. That was
nice.
Midwest only. And then
regional
okay,
market.
here's one that pops up for me too. Apple voice of Siri.
Yes.
Mandarin.
I auditioned for the voice of Siri in like Taiwan Mandarin or something. That job paid like $200,000 or something, a lot. But you have to sit in a booth for like months, and I didn't get it because I don't think I have a very. I don't know. It's like my Mandarin's not like perfect. Like I don't think I would have gotten the English serious job too. Like it's none of my language is actually like standardly perfect.
So then going back to your dad a little bit, you got him into acting a little bit.
Yeah.
But why? Why did you get your dad, who was always focused on I could never tell, was he an economist? What was his?
He was so he was a businessman back in Hong Kong. And when he got here, he became a financial advisor. So that's why he wanted me to do finance and econ and stuff like that. So when he saw that I was finally getting some roles, he was like, "Oh, it's so easy. You can do it. I can probably do this." So I thought I would teach him a lesson, So I signed him up with my agent, and she started sending him out on some auditions. And how hard the audition process is.
It's ridiculous.
Like out of 100, I booked maybe 4, right? And for him, out of his first 6, he booked 4. So it completely backfired on me. And I was like, oh my God, this is easy. And my aunt would call the house from Shanghai and be like, hey, Richard, you're such a good actor. Your son must have taken after you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not going well for me.
Oh, man. But also, that was one of my favorite parts of the book, actually, was the story about your Always Sunny audition. Yeah. How your dad initially was invited for the audition.
Right.
Right? And then it was something about English speaking as well.
They were looking for an older scientist that can speak Mandarin and English, right? And so we have the same agent now, me and my dad. And
so weird.
And they said so she was gonna send my dad into it, but it's a very Americanized improvised show. So my dad might not understand that type of humor, So my agent kind of made a last minute call. He's like, "You think your dad's ready for it?" And I kind of lied. I'm like, "Yeah, he's ready. He's my dad." And but I knew he wouldn't get that sense of humor. I don't think so. My agent made the call and was like, "Let Jimmy come in instead." And that was one of the first more bigger parts that I got on TV. So I took the job from my dad.
But the thing that I think I think the thing that struck me was your dad's reaction to that, because throughout the book we're reading oh, he's just so critical of everything you're doing. Yeah. But in that moment there was this little nice moment of
he was kind of humble. He was like, you know what? Yeah, maybe she made the right call. I don't think I would have been very good at this. So maybe it's I feel like he's the American dad that's trying to live vicariously through his son through high school football, and yell at him, and because he wish he could have played football. So it's kind of like that, but it's probably comes from a little insecurity. That's why he's so critical. So it's nice to see that moment of vulnerability. You know?
Now, now your parents here in LA, or are they, or here in the States, or are they still?
They're in
Hong Kong?
LA. Yeah, they live in Monrovia.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was wondering what happened. Like, what happened to your family after reading this book? You need a part two. And I also wonder, like, how long is it going to take for this book to be like a Netflix show? Like, I feel like this.
Yeah,
is
that's
like time.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. This will be life after Silicon Valley, I think, or I hope. So we're in the early phases of like picking the right place to land it in and then developing it. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think it'll be a fun show, like kind of like Atlanta or like you know, The Master of None, but the Asian version of that.
No, that and I think
naturally it has to be. I can't just make it into like a Nigerian version. Like even if I wanted.
Well, you could, but
that's true.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
So, as someone who's definitely gone through being a comic and an actor, things that are mostly very lucrative jobs, not really, but you also have to have other jobs to support yourself while you're trying to get all these.
Oh,
roles.
yeah.
So what are some of the more strange jobs or interesting jobs you've had?
When I graduated and then I didn't go into econ, I had 3 jobs in San Diego. I was a used car salesman during the day. And it was like the crappiest car lot you can think of, too. Like, we sell cars to people for like 24% interest. Like, it's like their last resort. Like, we sell to people bad credit. So, like, our slogan was either you buy our Dodge Neon or you go take a bus. It's a pretty easy sales job, you know. And then in the evening, I work at the comedy club. At this place called a Comedy Palace. That's like a Greek restaurant during the day and a comedy club at night. And I did that, like work the door, collect the tickets, folded envelopes, and I would do like a set if I was lucky, if they gave me the stage time. And then at the end, at night, I'll put in another shift. I'll go to a strip club, and I worked as a strip club DJ. Yeah. And that's a whole chapter.
That's a whole chapter.
Is me being a strip club DJ.
That is a whole chapter, and honestly, you just got to read it. It's just because that's another one where it's funny. But I think what's interesting is you're in constantly the situation of trying to feel like you belong someplace, whether it's school, whether it's doing comedy, whether it's on a TV show or audition, whether it's at a strip club. But then at the same time, you're so genuine. At least you come off very genuine and poignant and sweet in the book, and that also kind of maybe disappoints you as you're maybe going through puberty or trying to meet women or maybe trying to get a job or something like that.
I think everything like stand-up, strip club DJ, and all that stuff, or even acting, it's like what a foreign person's view is of America in a way. Like this is like a very American cool thing that you want to do. Like if you watch too much like music videos growing up, you would think strip club DJ is like one of the coolest jobs ever. But it's not. Like nobody in there wanted to work there. They all have been in a prison multiple times. That's why they're there. And I'm like the only idiot that actually wanted to work there. So I think for the longest time, I tried very hard to be American because I've always felt like the foreigner, the outsider. And eventually, it's those lessons that I learned, okay, this is not actually a great job working at a strip club or selling used cars that kind of landed me into trying different things, you know, like stand-up. That got me to where I am now.
Very cool. And then also wonder about the timing of the book coming out now, especially in the like atmosphere in our country. And I'm not asking you like to get overly political, but I'm just curious, like, how do you think this can help that conversation that us as Americans are having about immigration reform, how we treat immigrants?
Yeah. I think I didn't take or try to argue a certain viewpoint in this book, and I don't really do that in real life. I think immigration itself has become a problem because it's became a politicized issue. It's either one side thinks that and the other side. It becomes an argument. And I hope that this book will humanize that experience a little more when people see it from a genuine, honest point of view in a kind of lighthearted way from my story so they can understand what it's like or see what it's like to be an immigrant firsthand and have a more informed opinion of that. And maybe, you know, it'll humanize it more and make them come up with a more informed decision on whatever their viewpoint is instead of trying to, you know, jam it down their throat.
Watching you do this amazing stand-up act, I'm like, how come I've never heard of this comic before? But then I read the book. That's like the last Arsenio Hall show or something like that you were on?
It was one of the last episodes. He was promised a second season. And then I got a call, and I did the show on a Friday. And Arsenio was like, man, you did it, man. You did it, you know? And I was super happy. He's like one of my heroes growing up, right? And he was like, come back anytime, dude. Would love to have you anytime. And he got canceled the next Monday. I don't know what happened.
It's not you, probably.
Probably.
Okay, so I have a thing called Pick One. This is like just like a list full of things. I give you 3 things. He's got to pick one.
Okay.
And we just go fast through these. So first one is L.A., San Diego, or San Francisco.
Oh, come on. That's not even fair. I have to say San Francisco if I want to. If I want to leave this building.
You have to. All right, next one. Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, or Kanye?
I got to say Jay-Z. I got to say Jay-Z.
Okay. All right, PlayStation,
Uh-huh.
Xbox, or Nintendo Switch?
I really want to buy the Nintendo Switch.
Gotta buy it. It's so good.
I had the decision of Xbox or
good.
PlayStation, but all my friends were on the PlayStation, so I ended up getting the PlayStation. But I think I'm gonna need to get an Xbox too because I want to play Overwatch with both group of friends. But the Switch I heard is amazing, so that's a tough one. I'm gonna say PlayStation for now because that's what I play.
That's fair. I'll respect that. Get a Switch, though. All right, so Uber Eats, Grubhub, or seafood?
I think seafood.
Yeah, I think seafood, yeah. It'd be full, yeah. Sopranos, that's the HBO one. Sopranos, The Wire, or Game of Thrones?
Sopranos. That's my favorite show of all time. I've watched every episode like 5 times. Love Game of Thrones, though.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen The Wire. I haven't, because I feel like it's such a good show. It needs my full attention for me to sit down and actually watch it. But I need to get into that.
And if you do watch it, just get through season 2, be like, I don't know. And then when you get there, you're like, oh, yeah. All right, David Simon.
Wait, should I skip a season? Or
no. Just get through it. But season 2, you might be like, what is going on? Just get through it and be like, thank you, David Simon.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so next one. T.J. Miller in Deadpool. T.J. Miller in the Mucinex commercial.
Yes.
Or T.J. Miller in Yogi Bear movie.
Oh. What a prolific actor, huh?
I mean, he could just do those 3 things and...
I think Mucinex.
Yeah.
That mucus is very cute.
Some sweet snot there.
Yeah.
All right, iPhone, Android phone, or flip phone?
I wish I can go back to a flip phone, but I can't.
How come?
Because all my friends have it. Like, I have to be on a level playing field, or else I'll be getting information way too slowly. Like, that's my dream, is to get a flip phone, if I could. But I need everyone else to also get a flip phone for it to work. But I'm an iPhone guy.
All right.
Yeah.
And the last one is How to American hardcover, How to American ebook, or How to American audiobook?
Ooh, maybe all 3, man. Can I?
Yeah, that's the right answer there. All right.
The hardcover's nice. It got some cool pictures, you know. You can see the audition log and everything. The ebook is cool. You can, you know, whatever you want to skip, you can just type Control F and go to some section, you know. But the audiobook, I read the whole thing myself, so that'll be fun too. Get all 3, guys.
Yeah.
You guys have a tech job. You guys have money. You know?
Clearly, they're working so hard as I sit here watching you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is odd. I'm just going to say this is weird. So a friend of mine has been living in Hong Kong for 12 years. She brought these little dolls back. It says, oh, my goodness, everybody in Hong Kong has these. I'm going to let you look at them. It's not going to bite you or anything.
A ferret?
Yeah, it's like a ferret here. It's a lovely ferret. But are these, like, popular in Hong Kong, or is she just messing with me?
What the fuck?
Okay.
Maybe this is how people smuggle drugs. You ever think about that?
I mean, so you've never seen these in Hong Kong?
I haven't. Like, look, so there's a nice woman, right? Laid down this way. And then there's a guy bent over this way, but he has an exposed penis that apparently you put on top. Like, how does this work? Oh my God, her arm fell off.
I think we got to stop there with HR.
What is this?
I don't know.
And can I keep it?
You can. You can totally have it. Here you go.
Oh,
her
shit.
hand fell off.
Her hand.
It's not a real hand, guys. Not a real hand. Okay, so
It's like the swipe up emoji. Look at that.
Okay, so my last question is more of like a thing. So I know you're here to talk to us, but you also have a stand-up concert or something?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit?
So tonight, I'm going to be at the City Arts Lecture. You can go on their website or on my Instagram. You can find some tickets. I think it's almost sold out. So San Francisco's been really showing love. I'm going to do a little bit of stand-up, but mostly it's conversation. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be at the San Jose Improv doing a full stand-up show. And I also come back here in May at the San Francisco Punchline. So I got like this tour coming. So you can go on to jimmycomedy.com and get all the tickets.
And like, what's your like handle, social handle for these?
At Funny Asian Dude.
Funny Asian.
It's real. It's a real handle.
It's a real
Funny
handle,
Asian Dude.
and I let you said that. So that being said, thanks for talking to me. We have 2 more things I want to do with you. One is we usually do a group photo with you sitting with everybody. So let's do that first. Actually, give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
This is awesome.